how are we showing up? And how can we consistently show up as our best selves? Go deeper on those intangibles, those things we can't touch, being more loving, being more compassionate. I must be more compassionate. I must be more empathetic. I must be kinder. I must be aware of what other people are going through. And I will take the behavior, the actions to get it done. Wonderful way to create. You're creating these beautiful states. These are the things that I'll go back to over and over again because we're creating what? A state of being fully alive in the present moment. I should, could, and I will. Let's break this down just a little bit. Now, my mind's open way up. This is the possibilities of what I could do. It just opens up your mind. Instead of overwhelmed, now you've got possibility. Different state, the same situation. That's exciting. That's creative. That's what we want. We want that part of your brain ignited and working for you, not against you. Aloha, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Living Aloha. Yeah, on that journey, on that adventure of inspiring and empowering ourselves to create a life that makes us feel absolutely alive, a life of passion, of course, of purpose. You hear me say that all the time, just jumping in right away on those two things. One of the things I say it does for me personally, it gets my butt right in this seat, showing up as my best self. And that's what I want to talk about today. How can we start to show up as our best self consistently over the long haul? That is the biggest challenge we get. Sometimes we may not feel it, but a lot of times we don't feel it, right? We're just like, I'm just not feeling it. I don't know if I want to do this thing. I'm not ready to take on the day. I'm not ready to go to work. I'm not ready to have this conversation. But I'll tell you one thing that's going to happen. We have to show up. The deeper question is, how are we showing up? And how can we consistently show up as our best selves? I'm going to jump into a strategy that I use on myself personally. And of course, anybody I'm talking to or coaching with, these are one of the things that I just want to remind them. It's one of these wider, broader strategies that just give us a wake-up call. This is the easiest thing to do, is create awareness. Then we can get to, I see where I need to, what behaviors I need to change. I see now what I need to do with regard to a habit, meaning more consistently. And we say these words to ourselves all the time. How often you're just like, you know what I really like to do? I really like to, I really start that book. You know what I really want to do? I really want a new job. I really want a healthier lifestyle. You know what I really want, or I like? Listen to yourself when you say those words. I'd really like, as it relates to your goals, your dream, a vision, and specifically those little micro goals, those things that I'd like to do, because we say it day in and day out. And then what ends up happening? What ends up happening? We say it again the next day. God, I'd really like to get that yard clean. What I'd really like to do is clean my closet. I really like to get to this activity. These are the things we say day in, day out, but then we keep repeating them. That is one thing that is consistent. But what we do want to do is start to change that like into something we're doing as a behavior change. I want to go through those lists of things that you like. Write them down. If you can start with 20, whatever you want, but to make it at least 10. I'm sure there's 10 things you could think of that you would like to do. And you can even go deeper. Don't always make it like a material thing, because I do want to start focusing on those internal inherent qualities that we have. Like, I would like to be more patient. I would like to be more focused. I would like to be kind, right? These things, just think about those two as well, because that's the deeper reason. But if you want to do the visual, the thing that has a metric on it, you go, you know what? I'd really like to have a new career. I'd really like that. Let's say that's the goal, right? I'd like that. Write them down. You just looking at it, have that list of things you would like to do. Now I want you to go into another list. I'm going to take that list and go, you know what? Of these things I like to do, I really need to do these things. And then next to them, only make 5. You're going to have to narrow that list down. So you'll have your I like list. And I would encourage you next to each of those things you like, just take the time to reflect and go, why? Doesn't have to be a big monologue, doesn't have to be a paragraph. This is why I would like to get to that home project. This is why I would like to live a healthier lifestyle. Then of those 10, take 5. I need of those. Here's the things I need to do. I really need to do them. It's important to me. See the language and the words that we use with yourself, that's already changing and shifting my energy. Just think about and become aware of when you say what you'd like to do. It could be benign. It could be really small. I'd like to eat healthy today, right? If that might be one of those things, just really be conscious of the things that you like. And then go, oh, I really need to eat something healthy today. And then next to those 5 things, write why. Why do you need to do those? It's fine. And again, this is not for you to judge the moment or judge yourself. The goal is self-awareness. And deeper goal on that is self-understanding. That is how we continue to grow in the direction of our vision, our dream, or goal, and ultimately the greatest self that we can create. We say that all the time. I just want to be the best version of myself. I'd like to be the best version of myself. Hear the words? Well, you know what? I need to be the best version of myself. Different energy, subtle, but become aware, because we're going to go deep on this. It says now you'll have those of the 10 likes. Now you got 5 things you need to do. Sweet. Okay. And you got one nice why. Look at them, be reflective, be thoughtful. And if you really need to walk away from it, whether you write it in a journal on a sheet that you want to put on your refrigerator or your mirror, or something that's a reminder every day, that's cool. You don't have to the idea is not to rush through this, but the idea is to commit to you and a deeper understanding of why you do the things you do, why you like it, why you need it. And just the word, just when I say it, I can feel my energy shift. And that's what I'm hoping you start to do, is start to be aware of that change. And now you got the 10, you got the 5, you got your whys on all 15 of them. Now, one more step here. What must you do? Of those 5 now, what must be done? That changes energy all the way around. And shifting that in and of itself starts to change your body, starts to change your mind. Ultimately, you become aware of it. And now it's going to start to change and shift that behavior, because that's what we want, right? We can be aware of all of these things. We can do the exercise, and we do the likes, we can do the needs, and we do the must thing we must do. What is that thing you must do? What is that thing you need to do? And what is that thing, quite frankly, you just like to do? Different energies, right? And we can do them all. We can't do them all at once, but we can get the things done with regard to our priorities. And that's really what we want to do, and turn the things that you like into something you need and something you must, and start to create the behavior change that's consistent with the thing you must do. And a lot of times you must, that must you have, make that your top priority. And I would encourage you, some people do this differently, right? But encourage you to get after that first. Even if it's not the exact thing there, but it's the pathway to the must, the things that you should be doing. See, I threw this word in here because I want to deep dive and just veer off on that, because this is the language where we get stuck. When I said should, I want to relate that as to something I could, and then to something I will. 3 different energies. Dr. Sharday Zaharai shares this beautifully on making that distinction between what we should do, what we could do, what we will do. It's the language that creates a broader sense of awareness. These are the things where we're going to go. So after we start to talk about what I like, what I need, and what I must, let's create the language that will inform and inspire our behavior with the language of I should, could, and I will. Let's break this down just a little bit. When we say I should, it's less of a commitment. In fact, it comes out sometimes as shaming, self-shaming, right? Think about how you say, oh, I really should work out more. You're just shaming yourself. It's not a helpful way to get yourself motivated to do something. It reminds you, well, I'm here and then I should be here. So just be conscious of this as you work on your musts, even your needs, right? And some of these things that you like. But ultimately, are you just telling yourself, well, I should do it? We're not going to get it done. That is not going to inspire us to take action when we just simply say, I should. As a matter of fact, this has been done, guilty myself. I really should clean out the garage. I really should focus on my book more. I really should put more hours into my book, which is one thing I tell myself I should. And the reason it has not been more hours committed to writing my book, because I'm telling myself I should. I know I must do it. I know why I must do it. But telling myself I should reminds me that I'm just simply not that motivated. And I will clearly, easily, simply move on to the next action, because this is where we want to encourage what we are aware of, what's the action we will take. And then when we're done with that, what's next? What's next? So that's where we want to start to remind ourselves, if you're saying I should do this, start to shift that language, because now we can go, I could love this. See, look at the difference when I say, I could. I have a sense of hope. I have a sense of optimism. And not only that, I got divergent thinking now. My mind's open way up to the possibilities of what I could do. That as it relates to what I must do if I'm just taking care of my priorities. That's the language, a little bit of a shift. So you're not beating yourself about what you should do. You're here and I wish I was there. I could. It feels good to me. I can just feel it already, right? So just play with this language right now. But what is it, you should do? If you got to put that list down and start crossing that off, because you're hearing yourself just beat yourself up each time of what you should be doing. Just the flip side of that is, I'm not. Now I could. This opens the mind to possibilities, and write this down. Specifically, if you got a very strategic goal or plan, something that needs to be sequentially done, strategically done, I could do this, especially if you get stuck, right? It just opens up your mind. You go, instead of overwhelm, now you've got possibility, a different state, the same situation. Overwhelms, I got a lot of choices. I need to make one decision. I could, a lot of choices, but I get to make one decision. That's exciting. That's creative. That's what we want. We want that part of your brain ignited and working for you, not against you. And then finally, this language, I will. I will. That is affirmative, definitive, and very confident, concise, and clear, and gets you right where you need to go. That is the kick in the butt that makes you do the thing. I will. If you commit. Remember, we talked about committing to yourself, keeping the promises that you make with yourself, keeping those promises, meaning I will, not I should, not I could, but I will. Very clear. I will. And then tomorrow, as it relates to the thing you must do, remind yourself what you will do and write that behavior down. Actionable, has to be actionable. I will. Okay. So these are some strategies to kind of help really start to narrow down, become aware of the things that, you like, you need, and you must, and then aware of the language you're going to use around that rather than I should, I could. And it should relate to those things that are most important to you, because you started first with what you must do, and go deeper also on those intangibles, those things we can't touch, being more loving, being more compassionate. I say that I must be more compassionate. I must be more empathetic. I must be kinder. I must be aware of what other people are going through, and I will take the behavior, the actions to get it done. Beautiful, wonderful way to create. You're creating these beautiful states. These are the things that I'll go back to over and over again, because we're creating what? A state of being. And more importantly, a state of being fully alive in the present moment. And of course, as you know, that is the Living Taloha lifestyle. I hope this was helpful. I hope this ignites something special in you that gets you closer to your dream, your vision, your goal, and actually showing up as your greatest self each and every moment. That's living that Taloha lifestyle. Till we see each other again, go out there, create a day, create a life that inspires you to feel absolutely alive. Taloha, y'all. You got this. Go create it.